Welcome to Hockey Nights in Vegas, Season 1, Episode 14. The Vegas Golden Knights make the Blues sing the blues. My name is Eddie Rivkin. I'm joined as always by Las Vegas Advisors, a number one hockey columnist, Joe Payne. The Vegas Golden Knights held serve. They continue to do exactly what they need to do. They came back from a long road trip, and sometimes the first game back is a little bit of a letdown, but the 7,500 plus fans willed them to the traditional third period comeback. And Marchessault scored with 20 seconds left, gave them the first game. And in the second game, the Blues basically had already checked in at the gate and were on their way back. 4 points. They maintained the lead. A pretty solid effort, all in all. The Western Conference, the Western Division is now set, except for who's in first place. So, give me your big takeaway from the 2 games set against the Blues, Joe.
My first takeaway is I'm a little disappointed for the fans who attended last night's game as opposed to the fans who attended Friday night's game, because last night's game was pretty much a sleeper for the first 40 minutes. I mean, St. Louis, they sent it in. They mailed this one in. They had 3 shots in the first period. They had 5 shots in the second period. They wound up scoring. They didn't get their first shot in the game until almost halfway through the first period. I mean, Fleury could have went out for a dozen Dunkin' Krispy Kreme donuts and come back, and it would have been okay. I mean, St. Louis just was not interested in playing last night. Like you said, they came to town with one mission and one mission only, is to grab 1 point, lock down the 4th spot, and then going forward, no matter if they won their last 4 games, lost their last 4 games, forfeited their last 4 games, they're still going to wind up in the 4th spot in the Honda West Division. The game was important to Vegas, but they kind of got into that sleeper mode last night with St. Louis, and it got a little hairy when Parenko scored right at the end of the second period to make it 2-1, and then all of a sudden St. Louis decided, you know what, let's play the third period, and they wound up getting a total of, I think, an additional 13 or 14 shots in the third period on Fleury, who had to stand tall to hold on, and they accomplished what they wanted to, and because Colorado keeps on winning also. So it's going to come down to tomorrow night, who basically is going to be the Honda West Division champions, which will mean if Vegas wins it, this is pretty incredible. They would have won the Western Division, at least their conference, 3 out of the first 4 years, which is pretty impressive.
Fleury made that huge save on the breakaway.
Yes.
But we should go back to game 1 because, we expected they might be a little bit flat, and they were. And Robin Lehner had a pretty shaky second period, and that's a little bit concerning. But he stood tall in the third period, and certainly in the overtime, he made a couple of real, grade A saves. Led to the overtime winner. And Pete DeBoer in the post game said, listen, sometimes the first came back after a long road trip. And in addition to it being a long road trip, it was a pretty high drama.
Very emotional road trip.
Yeah, very emotional road trip. And I think that was, you can make what you want about fans and everything like that, but they were certainly buoyed by the 7,500 fans, the largest crowd of the year in the NHL or the NBA.
Yeah.
It was a point that they reiterated multiple times on the broadcast. It was a pretty solid effort all in all. The injury bug has hit them clearly. They're playing a man down, seems like now consistently. They're short a skater.
Eight games total, I believe. They've been short of skater this year.
Yeah, it was 0-4-1, and now
they won the last 3.
Won 3.
3-4-1.
Last night I agree with you. The broadcast framed it like it was a back and forth game, and they made drama out of it. And you and I were sort of messaging a little bit back and forth, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not seeing
No,
that at all. It wasn't for really lack of effort. It was like, yeah, St. Louis had 3 shots, but the Golden Knights only had about 6. And
there
it
was
wasn't
no. It was it was a strange game considering what was at stake for the Vegas Golden Knights. I thought they would be much stronger and
right,
much more determined.
right. But they
And
had them up 2-0, and they had a couple of chances. If they would have scored the third goal, there would have been no comeback. There would have been really no drama or anything like that. And they they fell into that malaise trap of a 2-goal lead, and they got a little bit lazy on the power play, and they sort of stopped skating, and they got burned by it on a lazy play by Shea Theodore,
once again,
and um, a game that shouldn't have been a game became a game. And it's hard to turn it off and turn it on and turn it off and turn it on. And I'm sure that Craig Berube peeled a little paint between the first and second, and probably peeled it a little bit between the second and third. And the third period um, was pretty competitive, and there was really no need to. They should have put them out of their misery, and they didn't. Um, the key takeaways: um, Peyton Krebs got hit in the face with a puck in front of the net. Didn't return. He's, we're not going to know, but now it's him. It's Nosek. Reeves is skating in the morning practices, but we don't know.
Pacioretty.
Pacioretty is now 4 games. Patrick Brown is skating a little bit, but we don't know. This is problematic at the very, very least. Certainly going into Monday's game. The good thing is that the bounces are now going Riley Smith's way. For the first 40 games of the year, they certainly weren't. And for him to put up was it 5 in 4 games or something like that, and for him to get his first hat trick, you certainly see some more jump in his step in the last few games. And the fact that, aside from the empty netter that got him the hat trick last night, all of his goals have been literally in the blue paint. So they're getting the greasy goals. They're getting the goals that Pete DeBoer wanted them to get, from the onset. That can only help, certainly between his ears, but to get that line going while they sort out the Pacioretty and who's going to play wing, and hopefully young Mr. Krebs, just got a little scramble, and he'll be okay for tomorrow night, because they're going to need as many healthy bodies as they can tomorrow night.
Yes, they are. And I want to go back to Riley Smith's hat trick. I did not realize that was his first hat trick in like
Isn't that shocking?
620. When I read that, I was like, really? So here's my question to you, and I was thinking about this today, knowing that we were going to do this podcast. In your opinion, should a hat trick count when the third goal is into an empty net? Now, I'm not taking anything away from Riley Smith, but I think there should be some sort of category where a hat trick is a true hat trick that's scored against when the goaltender is in the net. Granted, it's considered a hat trick, but is it really a hat trick when you shoot a puck into an empty net?
There still had to be a hockey play to get him the puck to get it there. So yeah, listen, no matter how you get it done, you get it done.
No, and this is not a knock against Riley Smith.
No,
I think it's just a knock against, like, I don't know. It's just like when there was talk when Roger Maris uh, broke Babe Ruth's record. They wanted to put an asterisk in because it took them more games to get there. You know,
Okay,
but
so if somebody's 3,000th hit, it is a bunt and not a base hit. Is it?
no, but no, that's a bad analogy.
I
That's
think
a
you're
bad
saying,
analogy because the
okay,
bunt is still
it's not the greatest analogy, but I
the
think you're
ball's got to
splitting.
still be fielded and all this and that.
Right. I think you're splitting hairs. There's still NHL players playing the most difficult professional sport in the world. And they're still putting a 1 by 3 inch piece of vulcanized rubber, that travels around at 100 miles an hour.
While they're on an eighth of an inch blade
Right. So you're
going
making your point
22
for me.
miles,
Right.
going
You're making
22
your point
miles.
for me.
Yeah, going 22 miles an hour.
Right.
Which-
It absolutely counts. Doesn't
Yeah,
doesn't matter
okay,
how you
I
doesn't
just-
matter how you get there.
All right,
Absolutely
okay.
counts.
But talking about and again, this is another thought I had because I just got involved with this group called the Henderson Street Hockey Group. They're a Facebook group, and I played with them now 3 or 4 times.
Oh, I think we're gonna have to get Hockey Nights in Vegas jerseys and sponsor a team.
Well, here's my
Or
question
play.
for you.
Let's play.
Do you agree that of all the major sports, the NHL is at the bottom of the rung? And the reason that they're at the bottom of the rung is that
As far as what?
as far as fans and not as far as fans, I should say, as far as viewership on TV, it's a hard sport to watch on TV. It's a great sport to watch live. And a lot of people don't understand how great of a sport it is because there's 2 reasons why. A, it's super expensive to play because of the equipment. And B, you got to know how to ice skate in order to play this game, which is not an easy task.
It's the least inclusive sport because of the degree of difficulty involved to play it.
Right, but what I'm trying to
And that simple fact, because it's the least inclusive. And listen, I ain't going anywhere near race or anything like that. The degree of difficulty involved in playing ice hockey limits the amount of people who play ice hockey. And if you don't play the game, it's the most difficult to learn and understand as a sport. And part of that has to do with the incredible speed that the game is played at. And I can speak a little bit about this because my father put me on skates when I was 4, and I played all the way through school. And I played at a fairly advanced level. So, I mean, if you watch TV and you watch a hockey game, it's kind of fun to watch and everything like that. And you can have a date over to the house and you can watch a hockey game and you can listen to Dave and Shane and you can sort of follow along and everything like that. But if you take a date to a game and they don't get to hear Dave and Shane talk about it and they don't know how to track a puck, they're not going to they'll have a great experience in the Fortress and the dancing and the fun and the music and everything like that. But they're not going to have a really good experience.
They're going to miss the experience. They don't know
how to watch a game. And that little story tells you why hockey is at the bottom of TV ratings, revenue, and things like that. Anybody can grab a basketball and try and throw it in a hoop. Playing baseball is significantly less expensive. Football is a little more expensive and a little bit more dangerous with concussion,
the contact with the head contact
and things like that. But hockey, by 1,000-fold, is the least inclusive of any of the major sports, and that's why it will always significantly lag behind as far as viewership and inclusivity and ratings and revenue.
But my point is here, if you are a hockey fan, but you don't play the game because A, you can't afford the equipment, or B, you can't afford the ice time, or B, or C, you can't skate. This Henderson Street Hockey Group I mean, it's if you live here in Las Vegas or in Henderson, they meet like once a week, and it's a great atmosphere. As guys and girls, you don't need a whole bunch of equipment. You just need a hockey stick, basically, which you can buy at any sporting goods store. And if you want, you can have a pair of gloves, but you don't really need equipment because we play with a plastic ball, so there's no checking, and you can experience playing hockey without having either to spend a whole bunch of money or worry about injuries. So it's just a shout out to the Henderson Street Hockey Group that has taken me in and allowed me to play with them, and I appreciate that.
I think that there's a media challenge coming very soon, and I feel
You and I?
no. Well, I think we're going to be challenging a certain other media source to put together a team, and I feel like there's going to be a serious two-handed slash coming. And we'll get into that later, but now
There's no slashing. There's no slashing at the Henderson Street Hockey Group.
Sure.
I'll let you know that. So you can feel free to come down. Actually, we're taping this tonight on Mother's Day, and it's about 6:00, and I'm scheduled to play with them tonight at 7. So I will let them know that they might see a new bunch of players showing up once this airs.
So we've covered the successful 2-game series against the St. Louis Blues. We are on to game 57 for us, game 56 for tomorrow night's.
Excuse me. We're only playing 56 games this year, so we can't be on game 57.
We're on to game 55 for us.
There you go.
54 for, maybe the editor will take that part out too. Game 55 tomorrow night. Arguably, the most significant regular season game in the history of the Vegas Golden Knights franchise. The Colorado Avalanche are coming to town. The ramifications of the game are fairly simple. If the Golden Knights win in regulation, they clinch the Western Division and
Honda West.
And they clinch the President's Trophy. You can't really have many more chips in the center of the poker table than, tomorrow's 7:08 p.m. puck drop.
They can even lose in overtime tomorrow, and as long as they win in as long as they win in San Jose on Wednesday, they will finish on top of the Honda West, and they will also win the President's Trophy.
So we have a lot of injuries on the Colorado side. Nathan McKinnon has missed the last couple of games.
Yes, and he's questionable for tomorrow night.
So, what do we expect? I mean, Pete DeBoer has said all we've ever wanted is to be in control of our own destiny. So, I mean, here you have it. You've got as close to capacity as you could want. I expect it to be an incredibly rabid crowd. It might be, I'm not going to say I might be, I'm going to say it's going to be the best game, regular season game in the NHL in this regular season.
I think all eyes will be tuned into this game.
An absolute barn burner, right? It has to be.
And unfortunately, I don't think it'll be on national TV.
I think it's just,
that's a shame because it's probably the most pivotal game in the whole entire NHL. I mean, all the other divisions are pretty much, I mean, they already, on the East, they already know that Tampa Bay is playing
Florida.
Panthers, Florida. There's matchups that are already set, where in the West, even though the 4 teams are decided, the only one and we discussed this earlier, the only one that's set is St. Louis is going to be in 4th place. The Vegas Golden Knights can't drop below 2nd place, so they will have a home ice advantage at a minimum of the first round. If they finish in first, they will have a home ice advantage for all rounds. And if they actually win the game, they will have the home ice advantage throughout the entire playoffs because they'll win the President's Trophy, which is the best record in the league. So they'll own. It's a really important game for Vegas because it pretty much will give them home ice advantage, possibly through the potential 28 games that they'll have to play to win a Stanley Cup.
So let's talk about tomorrow's game. The Golden Knights are 4-3 against the Avs this season, and it's very easy to just divide the 4-3 into two specific styles of games. When the Vegas Golden Knights beat the Avalanche, the Vegas Golden Knights beat them up physically. They forced the issue in they forced the Avalanche to play defense in their zone. They beat them up physically, and the games are grind and small rink and close in tight checking games. When the Golden Knights have lost to the Avalanche, their gap control hasn't been good. They've allowed way too much open ice, especially through the neutral zone, and the Avalanche have outskated and outgunned them. You'd agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what brings me back is the shortened game or the delay game up at the lake when Petrangelo was mic'd up. And I think it might have been McKinnon who grabbed the puck in the neutral zone.
Right.
And and you don't normally think you would hear this from one of the top defensemen in the league, but he said to himself, "Oh boy," knowing that McKinnon's coming and he's coming with a lot of speed. And like you said, there was no gap control, and they allowed Colorado, specifically McKinnon, to fly through the neutral zone. And and as a defenseman, which you and I have both played that position, when you're skating backwards and there's a forward coming at you at full speed, that's probably the most difficult time in your entire life. Flashes in front of you because you don't know what he's going to do. He knows whether he's going in or out on you, and it's just a very difficult position. And Petrangelo, when he said, "Oh boy," I mean, there are probably every defenseman in the league says that, but we've never heard it before until he was mic'd up at the late game. So much for that.
So those are the keys to the game. If Vegas plays tight gap hockey and squeezes Colorado in their own end and the forecheck is successful, they're going to win the game. If Colorado is able to break out with speed and has speed through the neutral zone and is effective that way, they're probably going to win the game. What do you expect is going to happen?
Well, first of all, before I tell you what I expect is going to happen.
No, don't go to the goalie thing. We're going to cover that completely separate.
Oh, okay. You knew where I was going, right?
I did.
Okay. My question is, I think one of the keys is to muck the game up a little bit, and that would be is Ryan Reeves going to play? Because if Ryan Reeves plays, they kind of set the tone for what kind of game it's going to be, in my opinion. Without Reeves there, and we've seen this we've seen this last night against St. Louis. We've seen it in Minnesota. Other teams take liberties with the Vegas Golden Knights with these post-whistle scrums and all that, and trying to physically intimidate the Vegas Golden Knights. So the key there is, in my opinion, if Reeves plays, the whole complexion of the Monday night's game changes, where it should not turn into a run and gun game, which is not a game that Vegas needs to play with Colorado. They need to play a tight, lock it down, physicality game with them. And I don't know if they can do that without Reeves in the lineup.
Well, I think the positive thing about playing against Colorado is they don't really have a bunch of guys that are post-whistle scrum guys. They're not really built that way. St. Louis has a few, Minnesota has a few. Colorado is not really built that way. But your point is well taken. There have been a lot of flies around the honey the last few games, and certainly if 75 is in the lineup, there will be absolutely none of that tomorrow night.
Well, I don't know about none of that, but it'll be few and far between.
Right. I think the key to the game probably is more in the middle six. If we assume that McKinnon is out, the key to the game is probably Marchessault, Carlson, Riley Smith, and then Tuck and Janmark and Waugh against Colorado's middle six, because there's just so much going on, and the other big concern is, how are we going to stop the Cale Makar, because he's off on a really good run right now, and he's he's their Shea Theodore offensively, and I said offensively.
I know.
It's very right. He's their run and gun D guy who's having a really good season and putting the puck a lot in the net. And he's a guy who can be a game breaker for them. I think that, and this is going to just sound like the most abstract thing in the world to say, but Peyton Krebs could be really important. If he's playing tomorrow night, that gives them a little bit more balance in the lineup. Now, we don't know anything about the salary cap gymnastics and how that's going to affect how many bodies they can play and things like that. But having that additional skilled forward in the lineup gives Pete DeBoer the luxury of playing, lining the lines up a different way. He can move Janmark up to the first line and play Krebs on the third line, or he can put Krebs on the first line with Stone and with Stevenson, and so that gives him a little bit more flexibility to match up. And having the last change tomorrow night could turn out to be something pretty significant. So I think.
So, here's my question: if Pacioretty is good to go tomorrow night,
that's I'm figuring he's not going till the playoffs. Apparently,
is that?
Well, because we haven't seen him in practice, and we haven't seen him in a morning skate. So I'm just assuming that we're probably not going to see him till game one.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate here. If Pacioretty is good to go, who comes out of the lineup? If Pacioretty and Reeves are good to go, does Kolesar comes out, and Krebs stays in?
Oh yeah.
So you think Kolesar comes out before Krebs comes out?
Yes. Kolesar goes out, and Krebs goes with Janmark and
Tuck. Okay.
And Waugh goes down with Carrier
and Reeves.
Yeah.
Or a flip flop if Nosek comes back.
Right. And we have
so if Nosek comes back, does Waugh go out?
If Nosek comes back too, no, then Krebs probably is the odd man out.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
No, because if Nosek comes back and they've got the legitimate version of the meat grinders with Carrier, Nosek, and Reeves, that's because Krebs is no good to them on the fourth line.
No, it's just like Cody Glass would not.
No.
Yeah, just say Krebs and Cody Glass.
No, then they're back to their standard issue.
Right. Krebs and Cody Glass are similar players.
Right.
Krebs is obviously is showing a little more progress than Cody Glass showed. He's looked good and comfortable with the top line, where Glass was invisible basically when he played.
Mostly invisible.
Mostly. And what I like about Krebs is he's not, even though he's not a big guy, he's not afraid to go to the front of the net. And actually, he wound up getting hit with the puck because of where he was last night.
Krebs does not seem to be intimidated by the moment.
And he doesn't even look to be uncomfortable, considering he's only played two NHL games for whatever. Yeah. Here's my question for you: who is the home ice more important to? Colorado or Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah. Colorado, not that I say they would be okay with finishing second, but they would not be as affected playing from the second spot than Vegas would be playing from the second spot.
Listen. We're we get the extra man. You can't deny it. The league
Right.
knows it. Everybody else knows it. That thing right behind me, it counts for something.
Right.
7,500 makes noise like 15,000.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I've been to both games when it was 7,500, and if you close your eyes, if you open your eyes, you can see that the stands are pretty much only half full. But if you close your eyes, it sounds like it's a packed house.
And if they make it to the if they make it out of the division and the emperor lifts the restrictions,
Yeah.
apparently it could potentially be a full house.
A full house.
A full house for the
A full house starting June 1st, right?
So you listen. I know about the President's Club.
Stigma.
President's Club. I'm already thinking about flying. The president, the trophy. I know about the trophy and everything like that. But let me tell you something. Don't be fooled. That building full is an advantage that every team in the NHL wishes that they had, and counts for something.
Just the other night, I'm trying to think who the St. Louis Blue player was. He made a point that he said it sounded like there were 30,000 people in the stands.
Right.
And I guess this year they've been playing. A lot of teams are playing with completely empty stands or very limited stands. Right. No people at all. No fans at all.
So,
and limited in all the other divisions. The Vegas, like you said, had the first attendance that was the most in not only NHL but the NBA, and the players, I guess, have been not accustomed but have gotten used to playing in an empty barn, so to speak. And now all of a sudden there's fans, so the volume is magnified to them. So it sounds like he said, it sounds like there were like 30,000 people in the stands.
All right, time to get to the money ball. Every game this season that both goaltenders have been healthy, Pete DeBoer has rotated the goalies, except for the 2 games set previously against Colorado, when Pete DeBoer said Marc-Andre Fleury has earned the right to play the 2 most important games in this season. Tomorrow night, if Pete DeBoer continues with the rotation, it would be Robin Lehner's turn to mind the net. Robin Lehner has not played against the Avalanche this year. Robin Lehner had arguably his worst start 2 starts ago against Minnesota. He had a shaky period in the second against St. Louis in his previous start, though he had a stellar third and overtime. At the beginning of the season, Pete DeBoer said, I'm going to rotate the goalies until such a point that such and so blah, 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 and then all bets are off. So here's the question, Mr. Payne, and it's sort of a 2-parter. Is Pete DeBoer going to, A, switch the rotation and start Marc-Andre Fleury tomorrow, B, keep the rotation and start Robin Lehner tomorrow, or C, keep the rotation all the way through the playoffs?
I'm going to go with I believe he's going to start Fleury tomorrow and play Robin in the game Wednesday in San Jose. I would just be guessing on the playoff situation. I don't know. I don't think he can afford to sit one and not play another one. I'm sorry, to sit one and only play one goaltender. I think they've gotten used to this one game on, one game off, one game on, one game off. And like you said, the only time he deviated from that was the two game set against the Avalanche. The first one was at the lake, and the second one was at Colorado 3 days later or 2 days later. So I think I would willing to bet my last $5 that Fleury's in net tomorrow and Robinson net on Wednesday. I would just be speculating on the playoff, but I will say that I believe Fleury will play game one of the playoffs, no matter when that starts or where it starts. My opinion.
I will bet you
Uh-oh, here we go.
one Metro Pizza that Robin Leonard starts tomorrow night,
Really?
and that Marc-Andre Fleury starts in San Jose, and Marc-Andre Fleury starts game one in the playoffs. And I'll tell you why Robin Leonard starts tomorrow night.
I want to hear this one.
Confidence. Because A, he hasn't played against Colorado this year, and B, he has earned the right to continue the rotation. And I think that it would be undercutting him a little bit if he made the switch this time. I don't think that he's done anything so grievously bad. Now, if he would have had that Minnesota start against St. Louis, I would probably agree with you. But he had a pretty good third period, and he had a great overtime. Contrary to what other media outlets have written, I don't think that Pete DeBoer is concerned with what Alan Walsh might say as far as making a decision about his goaltending. And I don't think that he's influenced by anybody other than what he thinks and his goalie coaches think. I think that Robin Leonard would be okay tomorrow night. And I think that it would be a huge vote of confidence. And I think it will surprise a lot of people if he did it. But you know what? Starting him in the bubble last night surprised a lot of people, and it didn't go that bad. I suspect that Fleury's body of work over the course of the year earns him the start in game one of the playoffs. The San Jose game is Wednesday. The playoffs probably won't start until Saturday or Sunday. If that, they'll probably give the North a little bit of time because Vancouver's got about 18 games to go yet.
The rumor is that it starts next weekend. The playoffs start next weekend, either Saturday or Sunday.
The week after next?
No?
Like 5 days from Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right.
This weekend, this is when the weekend is. What is it the 15th, 16th weekend?
Right. So they'll probably have 4 days off.
Right.
Something like that. So I would say that Fleury starts Wednesday and then starts Saturday or Sunday when they
Well, doesn't that break the rotation?
to play 4 or 5 days off. They were playing every other day.
I understand.
They've been basically playing every other day for seems like forever.
I think you're wrong. I think
So you're
Deborah.
taking the bet?
But let me just. You can't eat pizza anyway.
I can eat pizza once a month.
Well, you already bought the last time when you bet on your Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah. Well,
That was less than a month ago. So.
You taking the bet?
Yeah, I think Fleury I think Fleury starts tomorrow.
All right. It's a bet.
Okay.
I think he's going to surprise you. I wish we could go to the pregame. Well, you can go. I don't know if they'll let me in, but you should go. You should see if you can go to the skate tomorrow. Then you'll know.
That's true.
You'll see all depends on which goalie goes to the goal to the right. You'll know
Or
right
who's
away.
or who's off the ice first.
That too.
That the going to the right, I don't think really makes much of a difference. Fleury tends to always go to the goal to the right anyway, but it's what goaltender comes off the ice first in the pregame skate,
There you go.
the morning skate, wish to say.
Message your really good friend Sage and see if you can get into the morning skate.
I like Sage. Sage's a good guy.
That's what I say.
Sage has a job to do.
Right. That's right.
And especially under these pandemic circumstances, he's got a lot of balls to juggle.
Right.
He's got to find enough seats. He's got to. What are you laughing for? He's got to find enough seats in the press box, and
right.
or whatever.
Absolutely. All right. So we have a bet. We're going to wrap it up as we yapped again too long, even with our technical difficulties. You want to close with a prediction?
Vegas wins tomorrow night. Vegas wins tomorrow night. What's that?
Score?
Oh, score.
I'll give you the score. 4-2 with an empty netter.
For who?
Vegas.
Okay.
3-2 in a tight checking game. 4-2 with an empty netter.
The last time these two teams played, I liked the over, and you were like, you really like the over in this game? And if you remember correctly, it went over.
Right.
So it's going to be. I think it's going to be. It's going to be an over game. I think it's going to be a 5-3 Vegas final.
5-3 clean, no empty netter.
No, 4-3 and then an empty netter for 5-3.
All right.
And you said 5-4?
No, 4-2.
4-2?
4-2 with an empty netter.
All right. And I got 5-3.
All right, that's it. And next time we talk to you, we're going to be talking about if that all comes true, division champions, President's Cup champions, and my free pizza, because that's how that's going to all come down the pipe. Thanks, everybody. We're done for today.
Hey, don't forget about, if you like what you see, there's a subscribe button right here or right there. I forget, whichever way you're looking at it.
Tell us how much you like the new Vegas graphics and the super hot logo that we've just come up with. And who knows, the next podcast or two, we might even start a giveaway. And wait till you see what we might have to give away. And
where we might be doing the podcast from.
That's it. We're teasing stuff right now. That's called a teaser. So
we might get rid of our backdrops and go live somewhere.
That's it. We might be going on the road, and I'll give you a hint. It involves things that fat guys like. So that's it. That's the last teaser of the night. Thanks, everybody.
Would that be food?
It might be food, or it might be alcohol. One of those two things. So we're out of here. Thanks a lot for joining us again. We'll see you again soon.